Welcome to News Gulp, news you can swallow. I'm Mark, in the host chair. Happens every now and then. With me is Christy.
I'm scared for us all today. He's in the chair.
And of course Patrick, who I ousted from the chair.
Welcome to News Gulp, and wait a second, this isn't news you could swallow, or is it? And with me is Mark.
Welcome to News Gulp, news you can swallow. With me is Pat.
And with me is Mark and Christy.
I think they're stuck in a loop. I'm scared for us all.
And with me is Christy.
Jesus Christ! Somebody save me.
Welcome to News Gulp, news you can swallow. Do not attempt to alter your computer viewing screen. Everything is going as intended. Our first story, a man in Minnesota was pulled over for distracted driving because in his lap just so happened to be a 250-pound pig.
I was gonna be like, oh, what, does he have like a lap dog or something? And then he said 250-pound pig. It was like, that's more than what a lot of people weigh. That's ridiculous.
Not only did he have a pig in his lap, but he also had another one in the back seat. He was cited for reckless driving, which he attributes to the pig in his lap constantly leaning up against the steering wheel.
This is the moment where Mark tells us that the man believes that the pig is the reason for his bad driving and that the pig was trying to take over the steering wheel. And then he's gonna tell us the pig is actually a person in disguise.
I'm kind of more thinking that this guy is one of those guys is like, oh, hell no, I'm doing everything in one trip. Pig in the back, pig in my lap, pig on the side view seat, pig on the rack. All right, we're doing this all in one go.
Weren't there only supposed to be 2 pigs? I counted 4.
The Chicago Sheriff's Department lists distracted driving as talking on the phone, texting, eating fast food, changing radio stations, putting on makeup, and now they've had to add having a pig on your lap. That's a first for them.
Did he have Miss Piggy in the car with him?
Moving on to our second story of the day. Prison guards in London have been finding disemboweled rats stuffed with drugs, cell phones, SIM cards, and all other kinds of contraband that have been flung into the prison yard.
Remember a couple of weeks ago when we heard about a lady shooting like shirts out of a tube filled with product? Apparently we're getting more creative and doing rats now.
I can just imagine the guy sitting there with the rat. They cut it open, stuff the stuff inside, stitch it back up. The rat's dead at this time, of course. And then they go outside the prison yard and go long!
For instance, if this was just marijuana, you just packed a rag full of marijuana, then you put the little thing in there, and then you just turn it into a rat bong.
Would they be using the front end or the back end as the place they would smoke?
They discovered the animals had been disemboweled, filled with 5 mobile phones and chargers, 3 SIM cards, cigarette papers, a large amount of drugs, including cannabis and synthetic substitute, as well as tobacco.
Okay, if they were using like Nokia phones, they could actually use that to break the walls down and escape that way.
Actually, a lot of people, like high-ranking leaders in gangs, stay in prison on purpose, and they like to run their businesses outside with a phone. So a phone is a very convenient way to,
Well, at least they weren't trying to smuggle themselves out, the rats. For 3 decades along the French coast, something small has been washing up constantly. Any guesses as to what that thing is?
small-sized condoms.
An endless supply of stuffed animals that have been disemboweled and stuffed with phones.
Well, it is an animal, and it is indeed a phone. Garfield phones have been washing up on this French coast for the last 3 decades, and they think they've figured out why.
When did Garfield phones become super popular?
Well, this has been happening for 30 years, so I assume the 80s.
It's because everyone was so frustrated with these phones because they barely work that they just like take them, just throw them in the ocean. They're like, I don't want it. I don't hate Mondays that much. Come on.
Or a lot of people in boats really liked Garfield, and apparently they attached their landline on their ocean boat. And they probably had a lot of stormy nights, and they just flew out.
It turns out at low tide, they managed to find a shipping container that had become stuck in a crevice down deep in the underwater, and had been slowly leaking its cargo over the past 30 years.
That's all, folks.
That makes no sense. That's Porky Pig.
Garfield hates Monday.
But he loves lasagna.
You know what else you can do with lasagna? Swallow it, unlike these news stories. And with that, we'll wrap up another episode of News Gulp. Hopefully you can take that time to digest, and we'll see you next time. Ta!
I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sleepy. So you're only getting half-assed news from me today.